Hello, my name is Danuta Psuty, and I'm here to talk to you about my method, how to develop the level based on the story. Of course, sometimes we don't know the story when we are still in development, but there are some guidelines I am following, and I'd like to share it with you about how I approach the problem when we don't know the story, but we have to develop the level. First of all, this is the new experience for me. I have never recorded myself like that before. I'm a little nervous, and I'm sorry about my English. I am not native speaker. English is not my mother tongue. I am Polish, as you can see from my name. I spent 2 years in England, but that's it. So if anything is not clear for you, please reach me after the lecture is done and I'll explain it to you more, or well, just say sorry about the English. So here we go. What story tells your level? Let's find out. Okay, so who am I? I am a level designer with nearly right now 10 years of experience. I started working in 2012. I was already a level designer. I never did any other job than that, maybe a little bit game design, but still it was connected with a level design. First, I worked in Poland. I worked for Techland. I developed the Dead Island Riptide. It was a spin-off for Dead Island, and then moved to Dying Light. Did some side quests there. Then I moved to UK. It was before the Brexit happened. And there I worked for Ubisoft Reflections in Newcastle. I worked there for Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Ghost Recon. I was doing mostly vehicle stuff connected with that, connected with level design, game design with vehicles. That was very interesting part of my career. Then I came back and did level design work for Outriders for 3 years. And now I'm part of the Flying Wild Hogs, also as a level designer right now, a senior one. Okay, about my experience as a level designer, as you can see, first it was mostly open worlds, and then I moved into more traditional level design, so corridor shooters. So my experience is mixed a little bit. So I can see that there are different approaches from open world level design when you're more designing missions, and it's different for a corridor shooter. But you can see that some baselines are the same. Of course, when you're working, you have to change a little bit your approach, but still, baselines are the same. You can follow the same guidelines, and I think, well, you will get interesting results. Also, besides me being a level designer, I am also trying to be an author. I am writing since 2016. I am still before my debut, but I already signed the contract. It will be a crime story. It will be published by Empik Go as an audiobook. I already finished writing all the chapters. Now it will go through editor and so on. And I really hope you will all be able to listen to it next year. Of course, it will be in Polish because I am a Polish writer. I'm not writing in English. I also have some experience in publishing for the broad audience. When I listen to feedback from the people about what I wrote, I have my page on Wattpad. I was also publishing my short story, mostly horrors, on the forum of Nowa Fantastica. Also, I have little achievements with my writing. I was invited for a quite prestigious Polish writing festival, which is organized by Biuro Literackie. Very interesting publisher house, which is specialized in high literature, I would say. So not really my safe zone, because I am mostly a crime and horror writer, but that's it. And I also run the Bookstagram. You can check me on here when I just talk about the books, because I love books. And as you can see here, it's my cat who is usually sabotaging my writing career. So anyway, because I am a writer, I would like to talk to you about the writing approach to level design. The question is, why your level needs a story? You would say that we as level designers are not really writers. We also tend to think a story in a game as a bigger concept. We usually think about cutscenes, characters, character depth, lovers, romanceable characters, and so on. However, story in a game is what I personally think is what happens from second to second. This is what the player will tell the other player after he finishes our games. This is what he's feeling. So when he's talking about how he approached your level, what he did in his level, this is exactly the story, not what's happening in a cutscene. That's my opinion. Of course, cutscenes are also very important because they contribute to the overall feelings and the emotions. To explain to you some basic concepts about building a story, let's talk about three-act structure. Three-act structure is a very old concept of storytelling. It dates back to ancient Greeks. It was probably developed, it's not developed by, well, written down by Aristotle. So it's very old, and it is, I would say it's embedded into our Western culture. It is used a lot in the movies. If you see the Hollywood movies, they're using it a lot. Also, books are structured around it. So it's easy to grasp. It's very easy to grasp by us, so the people who are living in a Western culture, and we are working within it. Because nearly every narrative work of art is based on it. So let's see about the parts, the chunks of which our three-act structure is composed of. So first, we have three acts. We have first act, which is the opening act. Then we have the second act, which is the middle, which it's usually the longest one, and then we have the third act. As you can see, there are two axes. First is a time, obviously, and the other is a tension. So the tension that well, the viewer or the reader or the player is feeling where he's watching our movie or reading our book or playing our game. I think this line is pretty self-explanatory. You see that the tension is going up, 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 then down. Okay, but first about the parts. Okay, so first act starts with the exposition. So the regular life of our hero. Then we have the inciting incident, which is something that tells the hero that he will have to change his life soon. And then after that, we have a point of no return. So this is the point where the hero has to make his decision, because from this point, there is no coming back. So it is like, I don't know, the Bilbo or Frodo venturing into a trip. Then we have the Act 2. So all the action is set there. It's generally called its complications, but those complications are ups and downs for the for our hero. So we have an action. Tension is going up, but we have to remember that after every action, a hero needs a breather, so action gets a little down, but then more complicated stuff are coming his way, so the tension is going up again, and it's higher and higher and higher until it reaches its climax. So the climax is the most important event in our story. Well, it's basically the boss fight. This is how you can understand it. And after it, we have the resolution, so how the story ends. We have the, also Greeks called it a very fancy name, catharsis. So we feel that the tension goes down, the story is resolved. We see how all the actions hero was taking during the Act 1 and mostly Act 2, that how the normal life of a hero, so his regular life is changed forever. I think the best way to explain any concept is on example. So here is the example from Matrix. I hope you all watched Matrix, because right now it's so old movie and well, so important, I would say. So first, we have the exposition. So this is just the regular dull life of a Neo, who is a corporate guy by day and hacker by night. Then we have the inciting incident, which is when Neo gets the message from Trinity, so follow the white rabbit. After that, we have a point of stuff happening in Act 1. Then we have a point of no return. This is very famous situation when Neo needs to decide which pill he will take. And of course, after that, there is no return, like literally. So after that, we have several complications. We have lots of fighting scenes. We have Oracle. We have lots of dying also, chasing and so on. And it all reach up to the final moment, the final fight between Neo and agents. There is this very important scene when Neo finally is in control of Matrix. This is shown by him just stopping all the bullets that's coming his way. So that's the climax. This is the point when our emotions are on its highest peak. And after that, of course, all the emotions goes down, because we know right now that Neo is winning. So the resolution is that Neo is in control, and now it is him who is threatening the agents. So his regular dull life changed forever. So can this structure works in a single level or a mission? Of course, if I thought otherwise, I would not talk to you about it. So I transferred the 3-act structure blueprint into a level. So we see time, we see number of enemies, which we can understand as, because every enemy is adding to tensions, and tensions are emotions in games. Exposition on the level, it's, well, basically players see the level, see where he has to go. After that, all the fight starts. We have ups and downs. Player has some briefer moments, then the harder the fight comes, and then the harder, and then there is some loot, and there is even harder fight. And after that, there is the boss on a level. Usually there is a boss of the level. And after that is resolution, so a reward, finishing the level, finishing cutscene, some rewards, and so on and so on. The same can go to the puzzle levels when we have basically the same. So we start with the showcasing, how the level looks like. Then we have puzzle, briefer, harder puzzle, briefer, harder puzzle, briefer, the hardest, and then the climax. And that's basically it. It's 3-act structure. Our level is right now based on the ancient Greeks blueprint. Cool. Also, I'd like to introduce you to the term flow. So if you read the smart literature, like Reality is Broken by Jane McGonigal, you will learn the term flow, which comes from the positive psychology. Flow, generally speaking, is a state when a person performing activity is fully immersed. So we wanted to have it in our games, obviously. I think that using 3-act structure is a good blueprint to trigger flow in a player, because it is something natural, already tested as work in the books and movies industry. So this big red arrow, for me, it's pointing the flow of the level. So you have it written down, you have it already painted, just take it and use it. But we should not stop there. What's the best thing about being the level designer is that if we already know what the flow is and the 3-act structure, we can experiment, because the level design is not something set in stone. If we know the rules, we can break them. So here I draw some other lines, other flow lines with a tension and time, with the axis, or with tension and time. So you can see we can do whatever we want with them. We can start with a big tension, then go down, then go up again, or have it a little bit different. As long as we know what we are doing, it's cool. We know that 3-act structure is what usually works, with a tension going to the point of no return, up, then down, then up again for the climax. But we can just know it and do whatever we want after that. Let's go to some examples. I will talk about the last project of mine, the last release project of mine, so Outriders, where I was working. Let's first talk about the biggest problem of level design for the level designer during the game in development. So the creative director comes to you and say, Danka, make a level. We still don't know the story, but it has to be on a desert. And well, you have to come with something. What I recommend for you as a friend, I would say, it's really good. There is a very good book. It's called Atlas Obscura. It's Atlas Osobliwości in Polish. I will show you this book. It is this. So as you can see, it was published also in Polish, so you can buy it. And there are really crazy things said there. Okay, whatever. There are crazy things there you can use for looking for a theme of your level. But what I was asked to do was to deliver a level, a desert level. And as you can know, Outriders is a war game where there are lots of war going on. So the problem was that the story people didn't know what will happen there, but we had the very general concept of a story for Outriders. Well, maybe I will not spoil it for you, but we already know the general twist, but we didn't know what will happen between them, between the first act and the twist. So, because it was a desert, I started to read about the Gulf War, and I found out about the Highway 80, which is now called Highway of Death. The story is very sad. The highway runs from Kuwait to Iraq, and when people were running away from the Kuwait, from war, there were troops there, obviously, but there were also lots of civilians. So when they were running away from the war using this highway, the US military force bombarded it in 1991, and leaves just everybody's dead on this highway. Right now, you can see on this picture, it is already a little bit cleaned, but first it was a terrible image of war. There were vehicles standing on a road with skeletons still behind the wheels. Well, they're not right now, obviously, but well, it was a very moving picture. And I decided to use it to bring a little message about the horrors of war and how stupid it is, because I thought it will fit the general theme of the Outriders pointless war, which is going and going and going. So that's why I decided to place broken vehicles on a desert where in fact there shouldn't be any. The level right now is called the Desolate Fort, and right now it has a story, more story behind it. And I'm really glad that the narrative people came up how to use this, my theme, my little idea, and develop it into something more. And I have a video from it, from this level. It's from YouTube. It's not captured by me, but by some YouTuber. But I'd like to show you all this beginning of the level. It was in fact the exposition part with this horror theme right in front of the player eye. Another story from another level. It was again Danka, make a level. We don't know what will happen there, but it has to be Alien Village. So again, the level, I was a desert girl during Outriders production. So about the theme, I decided it will be Częstochowa, but desert. So we will have a temple that will be on top of the mountain, and we will have to go up to reach the temple. And that was basically it. Right now the level is called Utargak, and in fact it is right before the Highway of Death level, so the Desolate Fort in Outriders. You can check it. They are my levels. So right now I would like to talk to you about how I use free alt structure to add flow to the Utargak level. So first we have a exposition, and I will show you the video I took from the game. It was still during production after beta, so some things are not the same as they were in the game, but they're very minor differences, really, like there are too much ammo lying around, but that's it. So here it is. Let's watch the exposition part of Utargak level, so the Act 1. We have inciting incident. So for me, it's basically the start of the first fight. After all the exposition is done, player is taking all his stuff, and he's ready for fight, and that's inciting incident. Let's watch it. Point of no return and the start of Act 2. I would like you to pay notice that after the fight, there will be a small cooldown, because after, if you remember, in the act structure, after the point of no return, there should be a little bit briefer for whoever is in contact with our narrative work, for him just to catch up and understand what just happened. Also, in the inciting incident, and after that, in this level, there were previews of whatever will happen next in this level. So also in this level, because it was a village, so there were introduced places where you can go inside the buildings or on top of the buildings, which was, well, quite unique for this level, I would say. So here we go. Let's watch it. The start of Act 2, where players emerge into the village. Now, reaching the climax. So we are nearly at the end of Act 2. In fact, for this Utargak level, it was my favorite part. I have to make a confession because first I did there a marketplace to fit my inner Częstochowa vibe, where I thought that the priests of this alienation were selling some semi-saint stuff at the church gates. You know, the usual drill. But when I placed all the white boxes and did some test runs, I found out it's a little bit boring. It was basically the same as the other part of this level, and that was not what I was looking for, because I wanted to go up, to reach the climax. Well, the climax was in fact a boss fight, but no, I wanted to have something strong at the very end of the Act 2, and this is why I changed all the marketplace into heavies with Gatling guns and those small houses you can go inside and hide behind them and hide from the Gatling guns. And in fact, now I like my heavies more than the boss fight, but that's my personal opinion. So let's watch it.
She's inside that temple.
And I will not show you the boss fight because it was not done by me. We had special people to deal with our bosses, but that was it. And after the boss fight, there was a cooldown. There were lots of loots. There were, of course, cutscenes and so on. And well, the player was done with the level, the 3-act structure level. Okay, now let's end with the credo from creed from Assassin's Creed. Creed from Assassin's Creed. Nothing true is everything is permitted, which is, well, I just show you my way of doing things, but everyone can have their own. Every way is a good way if you deliver, and that's it. You can take it or leave it. I know it's not the best tactic in the world, but it's very helpful for me. It may be helpful for you. And I'm really looking forward to hear your opinion about it. And if you'd like to, well, use it on your levels, or maybe you have some techniques you'd like to share it with me. Right now, well, there usually have to be a useful literature slide. So here it is. For me, the most important book, well, if we are talking about narrative in a game, it's Video Game Storytelling by Evan Skolnick. And I highly recommend you, if you go to GDC, if there will not be a pandemic anymore, I highly recommend you to go to GDC for his workshops, because he is usually doing a one-day, all-day workshop about the video storytelling, and then he's telling a lot about it. It's, well, basically I'm a fan right now. The other book is the Atlas Obscura, so for finding cool places and themes. And also The Reality is Broken by Jane McGonigal. It's a little bit dated right now, I think, but it will explain you about the flow and how the positive psychology is working, which is, I think, quite important for our work. This is what we are doing with the positive emotions of our players. So here we are. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Aristotelian 3-act structures in games, please.